Hey,
What's
diddle
going
little
on?
hole in the middle.
I don't know what that's from, but I mean, hey, if that's what you feel like saying, do you, boo-boo?
Yeah, boy. All right, so we are back, peoples.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's good to see
Season
you all.
2 of the Battle Bros
It's a
podcast.
beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day. Wait a minute. It's nighttime. Shit, that doesn't work. Oh, well, never mind.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it is. Welcome back. It is now season 2 of the Battle Bros podcast, and we hope that you guys missed us just as much as we've missed you.
We missed you.
So, as always, I am joined here by this guy over here, my best friend of many, many, many years. Hey, Nicole's there. Hey,
Hi.
hi. But yeah, we are super, super thrilled to be back. It seems like an eternity since we did this, and also like,
Oh, yeah.
we just did this last week, right? I mean, this shit hadn't been that long. Oh crap, it's been a couple of months.
Yeah. We extended that. We extended that holiday weekend, holiday time frame just a little bit. There were some preparations we had to make in the meantime. Certain
Just
things
a
that we're
smidge.
prepping for that. Don't worry, we're not going to spoil it.
Not yet.
We'll share that with you right at the end.
We'll get to it at the end. So
That's right.
yeah, man. It's like I said, it seems like it was just yesterday that we did this, but it was also like it's been a couple of months. So it's kind of weird. It's like, yeah. So it was kind of a little nerve-wracking. You know, we've been talking quite a bit on our break, and Alamo's like, when we gonna get back into this, dude? Like, I'm going a little stir, freaking out, man. Like, yeah, you're all freaking out, man.
Yeah.
So
it was difficult.
That's a Super
not doing
Troopers
something.
reference. That's a Super Troopers reference for all you people not in the
That's
know.
right.
I mean, if you
Yes.
know, you know.
It was difficult for a little while, not actually coming on the show. Like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, oh my god, every Friday night I'm not.
Straight up Ricky Bobby, like,
Jesus, oh my god, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Exactly right. So
Oh,
we hope that everybody had a great holiday break. You know, Christmas, New Year's, all that kind of stuff. What'd you do for New Year's, man? Did you do anything fun with your kids?
We had a really big get together at my house, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I got some slizzard.
You got a little bit swizzled.
I got a little bit slizzard, and I actually
Nice.
ended up having a Christmas tree burning ceremony thingy.
That's not just American. That's the most Florida thing you can do, man. Burn that Christmas tree in the backyard, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's some Florida. Wow. That's some Florida stuff right there.
Yeah, man. Florida man. Woohoo! So yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah. Good stuff.
What about you, Mike? How'd you enjoy it?
So I had my daughter this last New Year's. We ended up hanging out with my younger brother and his girlfriend, and we went down to Riverwalk in Tampa. There is they did a pretty damn decent fireworks display down there. So there's a restaurant. If you're not familiar with the Tampa area, there's a restaurant down there called Ulele, and there's like a waterworks, like the little spring, like right there on the Riverwalk back there. There's a big, open field where they have like a clamshell where they have like live concerts and stuff, and they have, I mean, the whole area is just booming. They're really expanding that stuff. But they had a fireworks display, so we stayed out there and watched that, and it was awesome. I was a little bit concerned about the fact that we were leaving out of there, and I'm sitting there going, I smell a lot of oregano. Holy shit. So, and I felt bad because like I'm with my daughter. I'm like, I don't want my daughter around us. But what was crazy though, man? So like we're driving home. So you park out there in a field out there behind Armature Works. If you haven't been to Armature Works, it's a cool place. You should check it out. It's got a lot of different businesses in there, like little bars and restaurants and some other like really cool little one-off places and stuff. It used to be the old it's where they repaired the streetcars for the streetcar line back in the day, like in the 40s and 50s, I believe. So they've since revamped it, and it's now this place called Armature Works. That's really cool. They had like a concert and some other crazy shit out there. But so we're driving out of there, and like we're going I have to kind of take this weird way through Tampa and stuff, like back on Columbus. And it was like, if you've ever seen that movie, I think it had Thomas Jane in it. I think it's either called The Mist. It's a horror movie that came out in like the early 2000s. Have you seen that? Like the
Yeah,
whole town gets enveloped. It was
real
like
messed up
that.
ending.
Yes, the ending is yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
spoiler alert. The ending's messed up.
Oh,
But yeah, so we're driving through Tampa, and it was like so freaking foggy. It was like we were in San Francisco. Like it was insane. I'm sitting there just going, "This is how horror movies start."
I want to. I want
What
to
the
visit
shit?
San Francisco just to see how foggy it gets. Because
Oh,
like
I've
I've
heard
heard
it's
it's
crazy.
insane.
It's crazy.
Um,
But no,
and
yeah. So, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
I
off.
was gonna say like when I was actually when I was driving Lyft full time, I actually had a couple people that were from California. Weirdly enough, both of them were actually from San Francisco. And each time I've spoken to a person from San Francisco, they always say that the temperature in San Francisco really never gets above needing, at the very least, some kind of, like a windbreaker jacket or something. Like you're always going to be, and it doesn't matter if it's summertime, doesn't matter. You're going to need a jacket all year round there. Like in the summer, you're looking at probably the max, maybe mid to high 70s. And in a good heat wave, maybe like the low.
That that
It's
doesn't sound so
fucking
bad.
weird.
That doesn't sound so bad. I know you spent time up there up near Tacoma when
Washington.
when you were up at Fort Lewis. It's like
Yard.
I could handle that. I couldn't handle it raining 300 damn days out of the year, man. It's like
Yeah, that's
no.
Washington for you.
I know, but it's like that's like being in the army in your civilian life. It's always raining, and it's just like it's depressing. I mean, some people like that stuff. Hey, more power to you, but I'm just like, seriously, like, is you ever gonna stop? No, so we did that. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
We just kind of went out and saw fireworks and stuff. So it was pretty cool. Nothing too crazy. Just kind of took it easy and stuff. So,
I just had
but
the
yeah,
music playing the whole time.
yeah. So the other big thing, my daughter, going back to school, she did the first half of this year doing homeschool e-learning, which was a bit of a challenge at times just because she started a full month late. I don't know if I've mentioned that before in the past on here, but there were so many people that switched over to the e-learning here in Hillsborough County that there were so many people that they had an influx of people that it took forever to get them going. So like she started a full month late, and finally, like towards about a month and a half out from the end of the year, she finally got caught up. And so that was, you could just do like the lessons for that day during that day, as opposed to like doing a whole bunch of stuff for this, whole bunch of stuff for this, whole bunch of stuff. So it worked out, and it was good. She did great, no problem. She did Spanish, she did art, which is pretty cool, a little challenging at times, but yeah, so she's back in brick and mortar school, which is great. She's around kids her age again, which is fantastic. I just she came home from school the other day and she was just like, my throat's a little scratchy. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Like little mouth breather, window licking little putzes. Stop spreading around typhoid. But anyway,
hey, I only scratched the entirety of my whole butt crack. Let me. I wonder what that.
Dude, we're on here. Okay, so I'm not trying to spray my computer with water. Would you stop, please?
I'm just saying, it's the way kids are.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just like, what does it smell like? Peanut butter.
Oh,
you smell it.
Yeah.
So exactly. Well, man, yeah, mouth breathers, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yup.
Yeah.
Nicole knows. She knows what's up.
Yeah.
So what do you say, dude, that we kind of
squeeze into it? Yeah, let's do it.
Let's kick the tires and light the fires, man, as they say. So if you watched last season, we want to say thank you. We were actually sitting there talking yesterday and today, going over some of the analytics and stuff of people that have viewed the show. And it's crazy. We're sitting here struggling at times. Alamo and myself, we're like, are we reaching enough people? Like, what's going on? And then he shows me analytics. He's like, dude, somebody watched us or listened to us in freaking Portugal. Okay, that's awesome. And he's also, what else did you say? Oh, there was two
There's
people from Canada
Portugal,
last night.
Portugal, Canada, and Ireland just in the last few months.
Ireland. Yeah, that's my peeps.
Hey.
So if you've been listening last season, we want to say thank you. Please tell your friends about us. We're going into the second season as of right now. This is season 2, episode 1, episode 23 overall, 023 as I should say. But we still would like to get bigger and better, and get people to watch us and listen to us. Luckily, that could be good or bad, so we gotta be careful. But so yeah, the last episode I think we did was episode 22, and that was with Christine. And again, big shout out to Christine. She was a fantastic guest to have on. We ended up talking for about 2 hours. It was our longest show that we did by far. Your missus got a little mad because we went so far over. It's just like,
she got over it once she saw. Once she saw how it was going, she got over it.
I know, but still, like, we're complaining stuff. But you just can't mess with the organic thing. It's like, hey man, it's going. Like that.
It's like, we gotta keep going, baby. Yeah.
Why do I have dry mouth so bad right now? So if you haven't,
because you're strange.
Pretty much. If you haven't, if you're new to the program, if you haven't seen any of our other stuff, go back. There's some shows where we talk about some funny stuff, and there's some shows where we talk about really
deep shite.
There's some deep stuff, and there's shows that we talk about like just stupid, funny shit. So like episode 5, we talked about, just military jargon and slang and all this crap. And then episode 21 was when we were talking about like funny holiday memories. And, this guy was telling a bunch of funny stories about, winter stuff in Germany and stuff. But yeah, go back and check it out. Please, invite your friends to listen in and all that kind of stuff. We would greatly appreciate it. But
that was the season 2 recap for you.
That was the season 1 recap there, high speed.
Yeah.
That's why we're both junior enlisted. It's like, sham shielded up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna do things a little bit different this year. We'll explain that at the end of the show. But for right now, we're gonna get into our topic. So I'm gonna start you off by saying a couple of terms and see if you can kind of guess where we're going with this. Okay. Weekend warrior. Okay. Nasty girl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So these are things that I have been called affectionately and kind of in a derogatory sense during my time in the military. What we're talking about today is something that we've coined the term of as reserve component syndrome. Okay. And anybody that was in the reserves of the military or in the National Guard component of the military, you kind of know where I'm going with this. Okay. If you were active duty, listen up, because this may apply to you. And we're hoping that it didn't apply to you in the sense of, hey man, what the fuck over? So, yeah. So what did we, I got to read this. This is kind of what we came up with. So how do we define reserve component syndrome? Reserve component syndrome is when a member of a reserve component is made to feel inferior by a member of the active component. Okay. So mind you, before we get any further into this, I just want to say this is not going to be your usual full length episode. It's probably going to be a shorter one just to kind of talk on this. This is going to be a quick subject kind of thing. Just kind of give some reflection on this and get back into it as we go through. We'll probably be closer, but this first one, we're just kind of tiptoeing into the deep end of the pool. So bear with us because, it's familiar, but it's still a little dark and scary down there. So anyway, so reserve component syndrome. So how many times, and Alamo, let me ask you, because you actually have the benefit of having been in on both sides of this. You were active duty up at Fort Lewis. You were active duty over in Germany. And then from there, you switched over and went to a reserve unit and went to a military police unit from being active duty infantry. So have you experienced this on both sides? Have you, and now listen, when I'm asking this question, understand I'm not trying to point fingers and just be like, this guy, but have you ever kind of looked at the reserve component and just been like, done that kind of attitude where you're just like posers, pogues or whatever the hell you want to call them?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't do it as much as other guys did, but I had my moments where, essentially I thought to myself like, well, I don't know if I could do that. It felt like to me like, oh well, you're part timers, you're not gonna really train as well, whatever. You might, for me it was always that kind of thing of like, you might hurt somebody, that kind of thing. But on the flip side of that, when it came down to training and things like that, and like training with a unit that, obviously has gone and done something, I realized just how many prior service guys we had in the unit, and down to like guys that actually had, experience over in combat theater. And when I realized that, having made the transition, I was like, holy shit, okay.
Excuse me.
These guys know what they're doing. Okay, never mind. Maybe because I never really I can't really say I had, or I can't really say that I did not have respect for the reserve or the National Guard components, but I know of guys in my unit, specifically when I was active duty, that did think that way. Especially when the National Guard guys, for the Washington area came through and would, do training and shit like that on the same ranges that we were doing and all that stuff, because, shit, we're major base.
I never thought about that. Yeah, because you have Fort Lewis. I mean, here in Florida, we only have like Camp Blanding, and there's a lot of mainstay stuff that's there. Like you have, I think headquarters for 3rd Battalion, 20th Group is there at Camp Blanding. There's some other stuff like kind of supporting of that, but I never thought about that with
where there's areas where there's major installations. Yeah. Where there's major installations, they're going to come and train on those installations.
Yeah, no, I know. I've got friends of mine that were like Air National Guard, and they would probably go over to Tampa because, I mean, they would go on to MacDill because there's small arm ranges. I mean, hell, I've driven out by them a bunch of times. There's small arm ranges out there. They're out beyond the golf course. I'm not saying that to crack a joke on Air Force people. So just wait a second, people. We're not starting inter-service, nonsensical that bullshit. So just understand that I'm just saying in Tampa, they're out beyond the golf course a little bit just for location type stuff, but please continue.
But no,
so even though you may not have done that, you've actually been around when people have done it to others. So you've experienced it kind of third party, so to speak.
Kind of third party, yeah. Like I did, I may have like thrown in a joke or two, but I never really meant it like in any real like derogatory way. I just was like, hey, this is what the other guys are doing. So hey, nasty girl, weird. So it was,
and then when you went to your reserve unit, you said there were actually quite a few guys that were prior service active duty, and you're just like, okay, these guys know what the hell they're doing. So
because when you get those guys that come from prior either prior service, prior deployment, it helps out a lot to have guys that know what they were doing to help a unit train harder, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Which is where that kind of experience and things like that actually kind of it helps prepare the unit in a way that you never would have thought a reserve or National Guard component would have been prepared.
Gotcha. I got you. So I have a different kind of experience with this, and I also have another story that was kind of, I can tell you. So our good friend Brian, who has helped us with the show several times, more times than I can recall, but he's helped us with some different content that we've talked about on the show, subject matter, that kind of stuff. So he started off, he started off in the same battalion that I did. I was in a second of the 124 out of for the 53rd Brigade out here in Florida, and Charlie Company and 2nd Battalion got mobilized right after the day after Christmas of 2003 when they were sending guys into Iraq when everything started. So those guys dug through the berm from Jordan dug through the berm to get the vehicles into Iraq and like drive the Humvees up and over all that stuff with like a bunch of other alphabet soup type people, OGA and take your pick, whatever. I don't know the story. I don't want to get it wrong. So whatever. But it was kind of funny though, because, so everyone thinks, oh, weekend warrior, you just go 1 weekend a month. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to give you my perspective from a guy who was a National Guardsman his entire career, with the exception of a deployment where I was on Title 10 orders, all that kind of junk. But you have, okay, so active duty, you go out in the field, great, awesome. You go do your stuff, you're doing all that good stuff. You train, you live that lifestyle, you're like in it all the time. What a lot of people don't understand though is, from our perspective, it can be a little bit more difficult because, okay, guess what? You're going to get deployed. Okay, you gotta. If let's say you're a college student, let's say you have a regular job. Hey, you have to give a copy of your orders to you have to notify your employer. Hey, I'm going to be gone, or you have to notify your school. Okay, I need to pause my educational benefits. I'm going to be deploying. I'm not going to be going to school. I got to cancel my classes, all that kind of stuff. It's not just that you just go to drill one weekend, but you have all this other stuff. You're a reservist. You're potentially a college student. You're potentially a full-time employee. You're potentially a lot of guys have families. You have to juggle all this
responsibilities
stuff.
outside of your, outside of your military.
Yeah, it's not just like, okay, my job is the Army or the military. They know I'm going. I don't really have so much to do. You might have to do a little bit of stuff with, household 6, getting things lined up where I'm not going to be here for 12 months ish, all that kind of jazz. But what was interesting about when those guys went over, so you have guys that are reservists, but you also have guys that have not just, so you were talking about how like guys from active duty coming to the reserves, they have combat experience, they have deployment experience, like big Army experience. What was great about these guys is you guys have guys that not only, they might not have deployed before, but they got something a little bit different, which is just as equally important. They have real life experience. You got guys that have trades, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, like when you're going over, you got to imagine 2003 in Iraq, they were still setting up bases. It's like, okay, that canvas flap over there is where you go and relieve yourself and go number 1 or number 2. Oh, by the way, it's 145 degrees under there because it's a canvas tarp or whatever the hell it's made out of in the middle of the desert sun. Sorry. You're probably going to lose 10 pounds while you're in there dropping a deuce because it's freaking so goddamn hot in there. Excuse my French. Apologize. I try not to
worries. I think I think I lost anywhere between probably 15 to 25 pounds when I was in Iraq.
So what was real
sheer body fat?
Oh yeah, man. And then that's hydrate or die, man. That's no joke. Yep. So, but what's interesting though is you have all these guys. So I think they ended up getting tasked out quite a bit. Charlie Company got tasked out. They came home and they had like 5 different combat patches, and that was kind of a running joke. They had these shirts on the they had these shirts made up and said, which combat patch am I going to wear today? Because they had like 5 different ones that they could choose from because they served with all these different units and shit. But they were getting tasked out like, oh, you got an electrician? Dude, we got to set up internet. You got a guy that's a carpenter? Yeah, we got to like make a little shanty shack and all this kind of stuff. So people weren't really bitching too much about, oh, you're a reservist. Oh, whatever. So
that didn't matter over there, man.
Oh no, they didn't care.
You're wearing the uniform, dude. It didn't matter.
You think not? I mean, I would say this is more so when we're back home. So my personal story with reserve component syndrome. For as you may or may not know, I drove for Uber for about just shy of 2 years, like on the weekends and stuff, and then a little bit more heavy in the summer when I wasn't working as much. And I had this young guy. 2 people got in my car somewhere. It was in Tampa. I think they were going over to South Tampa or something like that, like Soho or in South Howard area. And I had, one guy in the front seat next to me in the passenger seat. One guy was in the back right-hand side of the car. And we kind of just, ended up kind of shooting the breeze and, all that kind of stuff. And I think at the time, Uber had a thing where if you were a veteran, you could put like a little decal on your driver profile so people could be like, oh, man, you're a veteran. That's cool. Thanks a lot. Just kind of like a talking point or something like that. Because let's face it, Uber is not the hardest job in the world. And if you've got a personality, it goes a lot easier. If you engage with people, that's the key to that. Everyone's like, oh, it sucks. You're just dealing with people. Well, it's all of what you make it. So that's another story for another time. Anyway, so we're sitting here talking. And the guy's like, "Oh, you were in the Army?" I was like, "Yeah, well, it used to be." He goes, "Oh man, I just graduated basic, man. I'm on block leave, and then I report to my first duty station." I'm like, "Awesome, where are you going?" He goes, "I'm going to Fort Drum." I'm like, 10th Mountain, 10th Mountain Dew, climb to glory, woohoo! So, it just kind of was like, that's kind of cool. Fort Drum's kind of neat, being up there in upstate New York. He goes, "What unit were you with?" And now, mind you, I have when other people that I know have said that, asked about, hey, Cynthia. Sorry, we're getting like people that are popping in the comment section. So if we just like, squirrel off to the side for a minute, that's what we're doing. But I know several people that would say, when they would describe what kind of unit they were in, they wouldn't say National Guard unit. They would just say, oh, I was in an infantry unit, or I was in an infantry company, infantry battalion, so on and so forth. So and the guy was like, it's like, what unit were you with? I was like, oh, I was in a National Guard unit here in Florida. I was with an infantry battalion, and all that kind of jazz. Because I had already been, I had been out for several years at this point. He goes, National Guard, huh? I said, yep. And he goes, oh, that doesn't count. And I remember like we were stopped, and I just kind of turned around. I was like, what? I was like, the fuck did you just say? I was like, really? And it was funny because the guy in the front seat was like, dude, don't start. I was like, no. I said, I would love to hear his opinion, however asinine it may be. I was like, let's have it. I was like, what do you mean it doesn't count? He goes, well, that's not the real military. I said, okay. I said, and me being kind of like the analytical thinker sometimes. I was like, I'd love to understand your reasoning behind this. And he goes, well, you guys just go to drill 1 weekend a month. I was like, uh-huh. He goes, that's not the real military. I'm like, yeah. What else you got? He goes, well, that's it. I was like, okay, so let me shoot this down constructively. I said, first off, when we go to basic training, okay, the only way somebody is active duty versus National Guard is when you're in the chow line. You had 2 separate rosters. They say, like when you have the person in front of you sounds off, and then like you'd have to say, what branch, what component, and then the last 4 of your serial number. So I'd be like, National Guard, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not my real last 4 of my number, but obviously, I'm not going to say it. So you'd have to sound off. So you'd either say active duty, regular Army, or you'd say National Guard. And we had like one guy who was an infantry guy, but he was going to an Army Reserve unit, and he was kind of like an oddity, which whatever, doesn't matter. I said, when we went through basic, I didn't get a half certification or get trained halfway as good as National Guard guys. We all trained, the guys that were National Guard, the guys that had active duty contracts, the guys that were going airborne school, ranger school, whatever. We all trained on the same tasks as everybody else, and we all did them to standard. So point number one of your argument,
invalid.
Shot down, bullshit. Number 2, I said it's actually harder to be in the National Guard because you have to juggle and wear all those hats. You have to juggle your college life, your employment life, your family life, your military life. I mean, there's been times I've had to get off of work freaking Friday, like leave work early on Friday. I'd have to have all my shit packed, my gear ready to go for the field Thursday night. And then, my unit was actually out by you. It was I was started off in Orlando, and then I changed over to the new company after I came back from Afghanistan, which is in Sanford, which isn't too far from you. So I'm driving 100 plus miles to drill. I'm having to go through all that damn Disney traffic on a Friday afternoon. It's like, you have to leave early for that shit anyway. You have to, first formation is at 17:30. So you got to be on the road like at 1500 to get through all that nonsense, to get past it. And this was back before like the interstate's been worked on and refined like
Yeah.
it is now. This is back when it was just a shit show and a half. Like,
Yeah, that
years
HOV lane's getting ready to open here in like the next, like I think,
oh
2
yeah,
weeks.
yeah. Cool stuff.
Yeah, that's going to cut down on downtown traffic like no tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. So I said, and I was just telling this guy, I'm like, it's a little bit harder. I was like, plus on top of that, and I also cited that same reason. It's like, when we were overseas, we had guys that had trade skills that were doing IT, that had carpentry skills or electrician skills. Like, we could do stuff. It's not just like, what are you good at? Like, I remember one of the guys, the leaders I had, he was telling me a story where he went from active to reserves or active to National Guard, and he was in like a scout. I think he was a scout platoon, like a scout platoon section sergeant or something like that. And he was applying for a job at Publix, and he's listing all like scout platoons, section leader, blah, 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 and all this stuff. So and the guy was pretty much like, okay, so you're going to ask him paper or plastic, and you're going to take their groceries and bag them shits and take them out to their car. So like, yes, you have all that cool military experience, but it doesn't always carry over. It doesn't, unless you have real world job experience. And I finally I kind of got fed up with this guy. I was like, listen, dude, I said, I've got more time in an Army shitter than you have in an Army. So like, I've deployed. Like, you're going to Fort Drum. Like, everything's kind of winding down now. Like, you should probably like chill the fuck out. Now, excuse me. I get it, because this was a younger guy. He was, probably in his early to mid 20s, fresh out of infantry basics. So like, you're cocky, you just got that mentality because they've trained that into you and all that kind of stuff. But I get it, and it's just the thing that kind of struck me too is like, I always looked at guys that were older than me. So like Vietnam vets, World War II vets, I always looked at them with a kind of a sense of revelry. And now you're looking like, I got a young kid looking, like a respect of honor and prestige and all that stuff. And I'm looking at this kid, I'm like,
you respected where,
and
what they went through.
Right. And I'm looking at this kid, I'm like, who the fuck are you, man? I'm like, shut up. Like, seriously, like, I've already done my shit. You're just getting started, young buck. And I'm just like, and I get it. It's like that scene in Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. Is like, get off my lawn. Yeah. Yep. Just like that. I get it. I understand. The older I get, I'm 37, going to be 38 this year. The older I get, I understand that stereotype of the grizzly old, veteran that might have gone over and done some shit in his life.
Yeah.
And it was great. I saw this awesome picture on Facebook the other day. And it said, well, it had a bunch of like it had like a formation of little birds, and there was a bunch of dudes sitting on the benches and stuff. Like, they were getting ready to hit a target. Like, they were coming in hot.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rap song, coming in hot, like all that crazy shit. But I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. But like, it's, people are like, why are you so crazy? I was like, because I did stuff at 18 that you still haven't done at 40. So kind of thing. But it's true. And I was just kind of like, I knew that it was just a different generation in the military now. Like, my generation was kind of on its way out. New generation was coming in. It's just like,
yeah. I mean, hell, it was yours and mine is the same generation, man. Like,
oh yeah.
Even now, the freaking stories that I've heard.
You got to understand too. Like, the global war on terrorism is over.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, Iraq's done. Afghanistan's closed. I mean, like, a friend of mine, Brian, his daughter just graduated boot camp, and I don't think they're issuing out the GWAT ribbon anymore. It's just the National Defense Service Medal, and then the Army Service, or the Rainbow Ribbon. Like, that's it. They're not doing that stuff anymore. So it's like, we're the old timers now, man. It's like, so.
Yeah.
Long story short, I guess the reason why I wanted to cover this is like, it's just dumb. Like, would you honestly walk up to somebody? So here, let's kind of make this comparison to more, applicable example for folks at home.
Yeah.
Would you go up to somebody that is a reserve deputy or a reserve police officer who's only has like here in Hillsborough, I think they only have to do like 20 hours a month to stay current. That's their obligation. Yeah. They have to just do 20 hours a month. Would you walk up to them wearing their uniform, slightly different, patches and stuff, and it'll say reserve or reserve officer or reserve deputy or whatever, and would you tell them, oh, you're not the same thing? These are people that are out here protecting our community, keeping us safe, and just even if they're out there just directing traffic after a freaking hockey game or a football game, are you still going to like shit in their Wheaties and just be like, oh, you're not the real thing? Like, what the
they got certified just like everybody else.
Mind you, it's a little bit different,
just like everybody else.
Like I know, like reserve people, they have to either have two of them together or they have to ride with somebody who's like fully sworn and stuff. But still, they still went through, put in the time, and they're out there doing something. And it's the same thing with the military. Okay, they got trained on the same stuff to the same standard. Okay, it's not like you're reserved, so you can get a lesser score. No, you still have to get a certain point. You have to still pass a certain score on the driving exam, on the shooting stuff. The high liability stuff. Yes, I know you don't cover everything, but still, you still have to have that same passing score. It's not just like, here's a uniform, here's this, whatever. It's like, that's just the fact that people have that mentality is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
there's plenty of stories too now, man. Like a lot of these young guys that are, they're active duty or whatever, that young man that you said, how long ago was this?
Oh, this was a couple of years ago, man.
Oh, okay.
This is like,
because I was going to say, this young man that you dealt with, he probably hasn't even deployed yet or at all because of the situation that's going on right now, or that happened last year.
At the time of the story, he hadn't, because he was so he was pretty much on block leave. So he just got done with basic. I guess he was going home because he was in town. He's from this area, and he was like visiting family, friends, whatever. And then he was getting ready to ship off and report to like his first duty station up at Drum, up in New York. So
yeah, but there's plenty of stories. I mean, I'm talking about from like World War I to World War II to Vietnam, all the way to now. There's plenty of stories of reservists and National Guard and all that. They deployed just as often as any other unit did. They did, they got combat experience just as often as anybody else did. Now, were the rotations different? Of course they were, because of the way the reserve / National Guard components work. But in all fairness, for that young man to be saying those kind of things, there's going to be reserve component people and National Guard component people that probably have more combat experience or time in the Army than he ever did. And that's probably even just people that joined to be in the National Guard or just be in the reserves.
So for all the haters out there, understand this. So in the Army, in the way that the Army is structured, you have 7 different special forces groups. You have 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 10th, 19th, and 20th.
Yep.
19th and 20th are all National Guard. So,
and one of those,
stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Florida.
Well, and yeah, so 3rd Battalion is here. Like one of the companies is up in Ocala, I believe. My uncle's house is like a stone's throw away from that place. But it's all through the South and stuff. There's stuff all the way in Michigan, Texas, all over this stuff. And, those guys kind of have the same AOR, the area of responsibility, as some of the other active duty stuff. But still, it's
of course.
Are you going to tell it? I would love to see somebody walk up to somebody like Tim Kennedy, who is a master sergeant in the Texas National Guard with a SF company, and tell him, oh, you're only a halfway SF soldier because you're National Guard. Watch him. I'm like, he wouldn't. I mean, now mind you, Tim Kennedy, like, I love that dude. He's a classy motherfucker. Like, he's a man's man. He's a good guy. He's a
humble guy too.
He's a humble dude. Like, he wouldn't say nothing. But like, if it was anybody else, I'd watch him like Jack. Just ninja you right in the neck.
Bear in mind, Tim Kennedy is also a world-class UFC fighter. He'd probably clean your freaking clock.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Like, I'm not wishing violence upon anybody, but ignorance kind of needs a little bit of physical correction at times.
Yeah.
Just
Like
saying.
if I could train with Tim Kennedy,
Oh my God.
yeah,
awesome.
buddy.
That'd be awesome.
Beat me up, Tim. Beat me up. Show me
Okay,
what
that
it's
was
like,
good.
brother. It's
So
like,
the last
too much. Okay.
we would end up looking like Jabba the Hutt when he gets choked out in Return of the Jedi. His tongue just goes. It would be so bad, dude. So our last point that we're going to make on this, folks, is why reserve component syndrome is bullshit and why it's fucked up. Hopefully you've been listening to the show. We just laid that out for everybody. You know, if you take the time to sign your name on the line, up to and including the point of losing your life, as the 13 people that just did when they left Afghanistan. Okay. Yeah. If you sign your name on a line to make that oath to protect your country or even your community for law enforcement, even firefighters, you know, whatever. If you take the time to say, I'm going to go do this so no someone else doesn't have to, then there is a sense of revelry that should be had. There's a sense of, you know, of just
yeah. You got to think about it this way, man. These people are doing something that no one else is willing to do. And in all honesty, volunteerism for these kind of occupations, anything from law enforcement, firefighter, all this, all military, all of it, our numbers are wearing thin. There's the volunteerism is no longer a thing anymore. There is unfortunately in this country right now no more. There's beginning to how do I say this sensitively?
Spit it out.
There is a lack of backbone that I have seen in a lot of people when it comes to not only defending one's one's community, but one's country as well as one's opinion. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that that sense of grit, that sense of
testicular fortitude.
Yeah, that sense of
gumption.
Yes, that's a great word. Is kind of running away.
I just had a great idea. Let's make a T-shirt, Forrest Gumption. It would be fucking awesome. Yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty much what we wanted to talk about. We're already kind of approaching our normal time with all of this, so we'll start, kind of closing out like we always do. So if you're new to the show, you got those ready to go on the bottom of the screen there, bud?
I do.
So for the folks that haven't seen our show before, we started this show when we found out a friend of ours had committed suicide, and we kind of were talking about getting back together and like doing something as a passion project, which is what this has wholeheartedly become. Yeah. And part of that process, we were thinking about names and all this stuff, but it's also our main goal is to reach out to veterans and just tell them, hey, what you're going through is you're not alone. You're not ever going to be alone. There's a community out there that will support you if you need it. All you have to do is just look in the right place and ask for help.
Even if it's not veterans, if we're touching base with anybody that's not even a veteran, I mean, hell yeah. If our message carries with you, if our message, connects with you in a really personal way, hell yeah, let's do it.
And even and that's why we say, pass the show along to your friends, tell them about it. You never know who this is going to help. And if we can help one person, I mean, that's the whole idea. So we came up with this mantra of ours, which is we call the Battle Bros Code. And it's easy to remember. You just, 4 letters, BROS. So we're going to go through that, explain that to you real quick if it's your first time. So be tenacious. No matter what you do in life, do it to the fullest extent. Do it to your utmost capability and effort. Don't go through life half-assing things. That's not a good way to live, man. Half-assedly. That's very good. That's a great adjective right there. Is it an adjective or an adverb? Oh, whatever. I didn't do good in English, so whatever. But the most important. But I don't talk like I'm from Florida. I actually have good diction. So no offense to Florida man out there. Sorry. But anyway, Be tenacious, whether it's being a parent, whether it's, working at your job, whether it's joining the military, being a cop, whether it's you're a reservist. Be tenacious, do it to the utmost of your ability. There's things I look back in my life and I wish I could go back and just do a little bit better. And I probably would have done better off, but hey, that's
Do it
anybody.
again.
Absolutely. R, refuse to surrender. There are going to be times when you get off task, off mission, and that's fine. Just keep what your goal is in the forefront of your mind and do everything you can to attack it and to accomplish it. There's going to be things that are going to knock you down to your knees and get you sideways, and that's fine. It's not about, there's that great quote. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about it's about the size of the fight and the dog. There's a lot to be said for that. You see, like, it's always great when you see like little, shorter statured people that are out there just rucking their asses off, and it's just like, hell yeah, absolutely. Like when we did our 10K last year, the whole way through this 10K, we had this elderly gentleman who was walking on his own.
I called him the mighty eagle, and he flew, my friend.
He flew, and he was just dropping freaking dumplings on us because we're just like, mind you, we're younger guys. Yeah. We had a ruck on, but like this guy was out there, and you could tell he maybe had like some hip dysplasia, or he just kind of had some issues with being an older gentleman. But he was just out there, just hobbling along. I'm like, I can't catch up to this old guy. It's like, Jesus, like it was just terrible. And like we walked up and shook his hand. I'm like, you, sir, are a stud. You are a freaking warrior, my man.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because
you're carrying packs. I wasn't carrying nothing.
That's exactly right. It was awesome. It was just a cool feeling. So no matter what, refuse to surrender. Okay. Obliterate your obstacles. When you accomplish a goal, I mean, you have to understand that like we said, there's going to be things you're going to try to do them to the utmost of your ability. That's why the first three kind of all go together. Don't just, like I feel bad. One of the things I regret, when I'm being tenacious is at the end of that 10K, this guy over here was like, I'm going to start jogging. And he starts jogging. I'm like, I'm just going to try to finish where I don't freaking pass out, man. So like he started jogging at the end, and I was just like, I should have jogged a little bit. Damn it. So, like little stuff like that. But, I would have obliterated it. But at the same time, we accomplished what we set out to do. But yeah, when you don't just settle for just here. Okay. Do it to the fullest and all that kind of stuff. That's important. It's been so long. I kind of have forgotten what I usually say for all this stuff at the end here. It's like, so the last thing, S, the most important one here is S, seek out a friend in need. Seek out a friend in time of need. As we said, we had a friend of ours that committed passed away via suicide. Yeah. And, it was it was unfortunate because we were actually talking about, Alamo and I were talking about this friend, and then we found out about it, and it was just like, I just wish I would gone back.
Craziest
and
thing, man.
Yeah, like we were talking about him, and then we found out about this, and it's like we should have reached out to him. So like, take the time, reach out to your friends. Like, I just spent some time on the phone talking to somebody the other day. They're just kind of like, what's going on? And they were like, nothing. I just kind of want somebody to talk to, and we just kind of talked and worked through some stuff. And it's like, great, And this is somebody who, they don't live anywhere near over here. They're in another part of the country and stuff, but like they just needed an open ear to talk to and to kind of chew the fat and stuff. And if it means, hey, there's 2 hours of sleep I didn't get, okay, whatever. This person called me because they wanted to have somebody to talk to. So, and I'm not saying that as a pat on the back, hooray for me, I'm awesome. No, it's just being a decent freaking human being, man. Like, be there for your fellow man. We're not meant to be individuals. We're very much like
we're not meant to be solitary creatures. We're meant to be social. We're meant to get together. We're meant to have a group with us.
Yes. We have that tribe, that group, that clan, whatever you want to call it. So
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, reach out to your battle bros and your fellow,
reach out veterans to the Bros Legion.
Reach out to your fellow bro legionnaires. In the event you don't have anybody you can call, there's a telephone number. There is the, one of the things that we want to stop is this right here. So 22 a day is a number of veterans that commit suicide every day on average. And that's 22 too many. So as we mentioned, and it hits home a little bit different when you know one of those 22, as we found out with our friend John. So, what we want to do is just to help make that number go away, because it's a tragedy. It really is. And we want you to remember that you never want to try to solve a temporary problem with a permanent solution. That's never a good answer, because, like that person, they have 2 kids that aren't going to get to know their dad anymore. So, you can go down the rabbit hole on that all you want, but it's just, it's a big deal. But, if you ever have those thoughts of, wanting to maybe end it all, there are options. Whether you call your friend, if you don't have anybody you can call, there's a suicide prevention hotline, which we tell every show. It's 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. And they have people that can answer your call and help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. So that's very, very important. And, if sharing this show helps somebody realize that, hey, I'm not the only one that went through this, that is what our goal is. We want to be there for our fellow veterans, because one of the things that we have discovered is that with the veteran community, we're some interesting sumbitches out there, man. Like, we are, especially the folks in our generation, the global war on terrorism, the GWAT veterans, we're a little off, a little bit wrong, but that's what makes everything so right. I mean, it's amazing. So we want to lift this group up and lift this tribe up and make them just like this almighty powerful group of people, so that they never perish. We got to be there to help each other out. So well, I think that's it for this show, man. So
and we're gonna plug in platforms real quick, and then we're gonna give you a preview.
You do the plug
on season 2. So
plug away, my man. Cock that stink and plug away, buddy.
If you want to find us on the social medias, you can find us on the Facebook. You can find us on the Facebook at facebook.com/battlebros.podcast. Also on the Instagram at Battle Bros. I almost did the battles. Battle Bros _podcast. And if you want to find us on the audio platforms, just like we're here on the YouTube, aka the YubTub, you can find us over on.
No, not the YubTub. Just stop.
It's the YubTub.
Such a dork.
You can find us on the audio platforms over there on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Breaker, Castbox, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Stitcher. And you can find us there under.
And the Pony Express. If you want to watch something funny, there's a comedian by the name of Vic DiBitetto on Facebook, and he starts off, and he's kind of like your good stereotype of Italian people, because he lives up in New York, New Jersey, and he starts off every video. It's like, hey, what do you say, Google? What do you say? Google Plus, your sister's ass, the Pony Express, another ticked off Vic. And he just goes on these tirades venting about stuff. And the first time I showed one to my mother, she just fell out laughing.
Gabagool?
It's a gabagool. You just, all that stuff. Hilarious. If this dude, I'm telling you, Alamo, if this guy comes down to Florida, we need to go see him and try to get an interview with him. Yes, just indeed. A picture, because this guy is hilarious. It's you got to see Ginger Billy, and we got to go see Vic DiBitetto. Check it out. But anyway, it just made me think of that. So now that he's done all the plugging, we're going to talk about what we got going on this season. So we're going to try to run episodes, do about 22 episodes a season. Just nice round number. Important for what we're doing.
And an important number, yeah.
Especially if you saw episode 022 last year, that was our last season. That was our big one that we did, talking about suicide prevention. And we had Christine on our show, lovely guest. And we talked
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely, dear pal. We talked, on that subject for quite a bit, and it was a great show. And I would highly encourage people, if you want to see what we're about, go back and watch. Yes, Ginger Billy is hilarious. Absolutely. Go back and watch that episode. It's
Tisler.
Oh God,
This
here we go.
is my Tesla.
Well, for those of you that don't know, if you don't know what he's talking about, in case you missed it, Alamo is referencing Ginger Billy because he has taken this van and turned it into several different types of trucks. He's your quintessential redneck, but in a very good way.
Yeah.
And he is a traveling comedian now. He's a touring stand-up comedian, and he's fantastic. I had the great joy of seeing him last year in August at Side Splitters here in Tampa, and he was fan-freaking-tastic. So anyway, we're gonna try to close this out by keeping it together here. So
Right. Sorry.
So like we said, this season we're gonna be doing some of the same, a little bit different. So we are still gonna keep having our discussion based episodes on certain topics, like today we talked about reserve component syndrome,
Yes.
as we called it. We are going to have some other shows that are topic based, but one of the things that we're going to go in a different direction on this year is we've actually lined up quite a few folks that are veterans that are going to be interviewed on our show as just for several reasons. One, we kind of want to showcase these people because they're people that we know that just have an interesting story to tell. But two, like we did in, I think it was episode 4, where we talked about transitioning out and all the nonsense and the junk that we went through. Like, they're going to tell you, like, it's not easy transitioning and going from the military to being a civilian, or transitioning from active to reserve component. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. And we want to showcase this to tell other folks that, like, hey, again, you're not alone. Other people have gone through this and they're striving now. Like, there's going to be one guy who did some pretty high speed shit in active duty, and you'll understand. And now he went and did some schooling, and now he's back to doing some other really awesome high speed shit. So the whole point, like we said, we want to one, showcase who these people are because they're fine, upstanding Americans, and they have a story that should be told. But two, again, you're not alone. Everybody goes through something, and we want to showcase this and just say, hey, here's some examples. They went through their own struggles. They went through their own trials by fire. But you know what? They made it out to their side, and so can you. So we really hope that you're going to continue to watch this program. Like we talked about, we're getting views from different parts of the world. It's like, okay, that's kind of awesome and unexpected. So please, by all means,
expected Canada. But,
Really?
Yeah, I said that.
Wow. On that note, folks, we're going to call this show a wrap because he's over here making up country names and stuff. But please, if you haven't done so already, check out our social media page on Facebook. Like and share. Please pass this along to your friends. It's word of mouth is how we're getting pretty much all of our awareness and exposure to other folks out there that may need to see this. If anything, if you look at our show and look at 2 freaking dumbass knuckle dragging infantry grunts and go, these guys are fucking retarded, and you laugh about it, great. If you learn something cool, like we did a 2-part episode on PTSD and how it came to be what it is, if you can learn something from it and help yourself be like, wow, I understand and recognize some of the symptoms these guys are talking about. Hey, great. If you just laugh at us, great. But if you learn something, even better. If you pass this along to somebody that may need to see this, that's what needs to happen. We want to, we're not going to get these people directly. We need to find these folks that need help, and we want you to help us out do that. So
that's right. While we're at it, right before we close,
hold on. I got to address something Cynthia said. You never keep it together. I love that you go off on your tangents. Yeah. We got to find that balance, Cynthia. I mean, come on.
On that note of helping us spread the word, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, follow that follow button over on the Spotify or Anchor to make sure you go ahead and continue to get us those listens, as well as comment in the comment box, because guess what? The YouTube algorithm is extremely weird and does not like to, put anybody out there that is not getting comments, whether it's good or negative.
And as you can see, as we get these comments up on here, we will engage with that and, just completely stop our show and be like, because it's like, ooh, squirrel. and we got to talk about it.
So remember, like, subscribe, follow, comment. All 4 of those will help the
Share.
algorithm recognize us more often, and will be distributed out to more people.
And share with your friends, because sharing is caring.
Caring.
Anyway, that was such a cheesy goddamn plug. Oh my god. So here we are for us, we're gonna do a short show. We're here right back at an hour because we can't help ourselves and we're talking. So whatever. Kind of figured that would happen, but we ham it up. So, all right, folks. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we are super thrilled to be back. We're going to pretty much go balls to the wall like we did last year.
Damn right.
We're gonna kick it up another notch, as Emerald Lagasse would say, "Bam!" and do all that kind of stuff.
Damn it, you beat me to it. Yeah.
Buddy. Got you, man. Exactly. Done. So, again, thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll see us next week. We're going to be on here every Friday at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. If you can't catch us in, it's going to be pretty much available on YouTube almost right after, and then the Anchor app and Spotify and all that stuff usually within a day or two. So might take a little bit of lag time, but whatever. But please like, comment, share. All that good, whatever he just said, I don't remember because he handles all the social media shit. I don't do that. I just make a post every once in a while and go, "Hey guys," all that stuff. So, but we thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope everyone has a good night, a good weekend, and we will see you next week, 9:00 Friday Eastern Standard Time. And until then, we ask that you stay safe, love one another, and look out for your friends out there. If everybody needs help, give them help. I mean, be an upstanding person. Don't be a shithead.
Damn right.
So, all right, guys. We'll see you later. This is Battle Bros Podcast signing off, and we will see you next week.
Battle Bros out.
Ninja vanish.